Welcome to the next episode of Hip Hop Reminiscence. I'm Joe Rosen with your co-host Fuzz Jackson. Fuzz, say hello.
Greetings and salutations. I am Fuzz Jackson.
Awesome. We have a super special episode this week. We're going to be talking about the interconnection of sports and hip hop. We have our special guest, Desmond Howard of Heisman, University of Michigan, Washington Redskins, 11 years in the NFL fame, and DJ KG, elite level producer from Naughty by Nature and now Illtown Sluggaz. KG, Desmond, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me as well. Yeah.
Awesome. So this episode is very, very specific. I'm going to give a little background on KG and Dez, talk a little bit about the interconnection, the connections between sports and hip hop in the 80s and 90s. And then I'm going to stop talking because no one wants to hear me at this point. So Desmond Howard, a little bit of background on Dez. I always give your age. I hope that's okay because we're talking about a specific time period here. So
Cool.
Dez is 52. He played in the NFL for 11 years, college at Michigan, where of course he won the Heisman in 1991, drafted 4th overall in 92 by the Washington Commanders, now the Redskins at the time. MVP of Super Bowl 31 in 1996 for the Packers, inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2011. And of course now an ESPN College Football Analyst on game day and across ESPN. And then we also welcome KG, who's a DJ and producer from Naughty by Nature, one of the elite hip hop groups of the 80s and 90s. Now working with Illtown Sluggaz, where he's producing and has a label with them. He's produced songs for Queen Latifah, Naughty by Nature, Run DMC, Biggie, Aaliyah, Grammy Award, I have to say, Kay, for the best rap album. The first time it was ever a category, right? In 1996. Yeah. Sorry, 1995.
95, yeah.
Yep, Poverty's Paradise, and KG is 53. So we got a lot of old heads on this. I'm 49. Fuzz is 49. JR's a little younger, our producer. But we're going to get right into it. So the first thing I can remember in the sort of intersection of sports and hip hop was Basketball from Curtis Blow in the early 80s when that came out. Obviously, there's been a lot going on since then. We talked a little bit about before you guys came on with the great release of Shaq Diesel from Shaquille O'Neal in 1993, which I still to this day think is an underrated album. Like, he actually had skills back then. Like, I think it was pretty good. We have Master P, who played pro ball, owns the league now. Obviously, Damian Lillard from the Trailblazers has his own label and goes by his rap name is Dalla. Plenty of other NBA players over the years have tried their hand at hip hop. Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, Meta World Peace. Jay-Z owned part of the Nets from 2003 to 2013 and now has Rock Nation Sports. And then, of course, I was filled in before this show that I didn't even know exist. And Des, this is going to be the first question because I'm not sure if you have knowledge of this, but I did not. So evidently in 1996,
okay,
there was an album that came out called NFL Jams, which was your bit. I mean, that was like, obviously you were front and center in the NFL in 1996, right? So There were compilations between like Ricky Waters and Method Man. And so I wasn't even aware of this. And I needed to go listen to this. Des, K, do you remember this album? Because I don't.
I vaguely remember that now that you said it. I vaguely remember some non-rappers who but very athletic guys grabbing a mic with some real polished rappers back there. So yeah, now that you mentioned, I do remember that. Yeah.
Okay, Kay, do you remember that one?
No, I don't. Actually, I don't. Nope.
I didn't either. I remember Jock Jams, but I didn't remember NFL Jams. Like,
yeah, definitely remember Jock Jams because we were a part. As Naughty by Nature, we were a part of Jock Jams, and Jock Jams actually was released through Tommy Boy Records, and we were on Tommy Boy Records, so I'm definitely fully aware of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start with Kay because the second question I definitely want to start with Desmond. Okay, why is hip hop and sports? I mean, it is now, but we're talking about the late 80s and 90s. Why is hip hop and sports so intertwined?
It's always been, like you said, from day one. I mean, we come from the same place. All of us come from the same place. So if you think about when you're starting off or really trying to find yourself, you know, you had some people that were trying to find themselves, or when hip hop was starting to go. So some people gravitated to hip hop. And if you think about most of even the hip hop musicians and a lot of us, we also play sports. Everybody grew up playing sports. So you either turned off from playing sports or continued to play sports and also did music, or you just played sports and stopped doing music. So that within itself shows exactly why it was intertwined. And I mean, and if you didn't do both and you did one, your friend did the other. So it was totally still intertwined.
Des, how did it, like, when you were coming up, obviously at Michigan, and you know, before obviously in high school in Michigan, and then, you know, getting in the NFL, like, how was it intertwined? Like, how did you see it there? Because you see a lot of NBA stuff going on, right? Some NFL, like, I didn't realize the NFL jams happened. So, but it's still intertwined in the NFL as well. So, like, how was it, you know, as part of your culture coming up?
Yeah, you know, shoot, Kate hit it on the head, because I mean, it's like the soundtrack of our childhood, and a lot of our childhood was spent out playing sports. You know, nowadays these kids, their childhood spent inside the house playing video games. You know what I mean? But we were always playing sports, and you know, and that was like the soundtrack. You know, and so we came up into, me, what I consider the golden era of rap music or hip hop. I remember one of the best collaborations, because you were talking about the collaborations, was, man, I think the best one was Jadakiss and Allen Iverson. Steve Stout put that joint together.
Yeah,
that was straight fire, bro. For real. I love that one. It's like I pull that up today and I show my IT department, aka my kids.
Right.
And that thing was straight fire, man. So yeah, it was always intertwined, and because, you know, like Kay saying, you knew somebody who rapped, and somebody who rapped knew somebody who played football or basketball, whatever. So it was always that, you know, that relationship.
Yeah, and even closer to me, like in my household, you know, my brother played basketball and baseball actually growing up. So he was really good and known locally around our way. And then when I got in, you know, and also I kind of saw the hip hop vibe coming through him. And when I got myself into hip hop, and obviously, you know, I started playing basketball as I got older as well, you know, so like we saying, like, it's all intertwined, and everybody played, all of us, like you said, like nowadays they're playing video games. Mostly everybody back in the 80s and all of that stuff, man, they played sports growing up.
And another thing is, the beauty of it is, like, they rapped about our experiences. They were just able to put it into words, like in a poetic way. So we related to what they were talking about. You know what I mean? Like, we related to the music. So it was perfect.
Because we were coming from the same place.
Exactly.
We were all coming from the same place. Like you said, some people went and did music and some people went and did sports, and they all were in the same classroom together. They were all friends, or they were family.
Does that lead into, and Fuzz, I want to bring you in for this one too, because you have a lot of sports-based rhymes. And Kay, like, you know, obviously, like, I see it now. I mean, Jay-Z's been really big on that. Obviously, a lot of his stuff has, you know, sports-based rhymes. Is that what we're talking about? Like, that's always been a big part of the picture. And is that because, you know, that people know about these athletes, or is it just because everybody is interconnected and that's what folks like to rap about? Or is it like a combination of that?
I think it's a combination of both. Go ahead, Fuzz.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in for a sec. Also, I feel like when you're an MC, like, you want to be the best at what you're doing at that moment. So what better comparison than a top tier athlete? I think that's why you got so many Jordan bars, Kobe bars. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so I think it's that comparison. It's like, okay, my bars are elite, so whoever I'm talking about has to be elite. It's like my favorite sports bar when Jay-Z says, when I come back like Jordan wearing the 4-5, it ain't to play games with you, it's to aim at you. Exactly. And there's so many aim, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So you know b-ball, you know the angles. And so the sports in the bars, the angles are just so perfect sometimes.
For sure. So I want to ask specifically, I'm my first memory of, I don't know, sports and hip hop that's like outside music kind of, but the Fab Five, when they came in 91, 92, Des, and I know that was your Heisman year. They were coming in as you were leaving, right? The Fab Five.
Yeah.
How do we feel? Like, I want to start with you, Des, and then I'll move to Kay and see how that affected you guys. Cause obviously, 91, 92, that's when Naughty takes off, right? I mean, that's when Naughty takes off. When they came in, you start seeing the baggy shorts, you start getting into not just rap, but hip hop culture. And I always look back at the Fab Five as the first athletes that I saw on the court that kind of embodied that hip hop culture. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there were before that. But Des, like, what did you see when you were leaving? They were coming.
Right.
How did that influence things like when you were at Michigan?
Yeah, so we overlapped, and I was a guy who obviously by then I won the Heisman. As a matter of fact, the evening I won the Heisman was the same evening the world was introduced to the Fab Five, because that evening Michigan played Duke of all schools in basketball on national TV. And I remember it so vividly because it was down in New York at the DAC, and I snuck off to like one of these little rooms to watch the game. And one of our SID, Sports Information Department dude named Bruce Mighty, like he had to come like literally and get me and say, hey, they about to make the announcement. You know what I mean? So as I'm being announced as the Heisman Trophy winner, the world is being introduced to the Fab Five. And it was perfect because they come from, well, most of them, not all of them, like Juwan Howard came from Chicago, you know what I mean? So Juwan came from the hood. He came from the streets. Jalen Rose came from Detroit, you know what I mean? So Jalen Rose, he came from, that hip hop culture. And I think Ray Jackson I think Ray Jackson was from Texas, and then Jimmy King, I'm not sure where he was from, but I remember that Chris Webber was from like a suburb of Detroit called Country Day, you know what I mean? But he wanted to have the same street cred that Jalen had, and so he came in with the same attitude. But it was perfect, man, because and I was from the streets of Cleveland, you know what I mean? So we was all just blended, and it was a beautiful thing. Now, the night I won the Heisman, they lost to Duke, but it was a hell of a game.
Meanwhile, Kay, like while you're talking, Kay's showing his background with Weber jersey. It was Weber and Juwan Howard, right?
No, Jay Rose and Weber.
Oh, Jay Rose and Weber.
Yeah,
Jay Rose and Weber. Okay, so obviously they had an influence on you.
Definitely. That like Des was just talking about, like we came out in 1991. So when we came out, like they were starting to come, and they were coming out, and they were doing their thing. And like you said, like that whole hip hop influence thing, the baggy shorts and the way that they came out, the Fab Five, it drew me to them.
Yeah.
So I started wearing this. I started wearing their jerseys, and I started wearing their jackets. I became a Michigan fan.
Yes, sir.
I became a Michigan fan. And I finally, we had a show out there, and we came out there, and they came to the show, and I got to meet them, and we were buddies from there on out. So it was really, really, really cool, man. And those are the guys that I gravitated to and I took to, man, because I was just like, dang, like these are the homies right here. I love what they do. They took some freshmen and let them go, and they out there representing. They got that attitude, that moxie with them, man. I loved it, man.
I still think that's the best recruiting class in the history of sports.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Sure. Not only that, man, they look like rappers playing ball.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like the way they walked it and talked it and bragged it, it was like watching like really dope MCs like playing ball. It was crazy. Like I'm from Georgia, and we never been to Michigan from down there. We was wearing jerseys. We was like, I don't know, let's just get them. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
they cool, we cool. So yeah, it was a vibe, man.
But yeah, I started, like, if you look back, like I started wearing that stuff. I started wearing jerseys, like the Michigan jersey, started wearing J Rose jersey. There's a like a right on cover. There's a bunch of different stuff that I have that's documented out there with me with the jerseys on. So then, like I said, we had a show one time in Michigan. They came there. I finally got to meet them. And then I started going to Ann Arbor, going to watch them play and everything, man. And then we became good friends from there on out.
Yeah, you know what? And another thing is like you got these moments as an athlete where you feel as though you've made it. So when you see, like, you know, a Jada Kiss or a Tretch or anybody wearing your jersey, you know, because all the homies like, yo, did you see, you know, Jay-Z had your jersey on?
Yeah.
Jada got your jersey, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, snap. Are you kidding me? So that's like just a whole nother level of
a whole nother level.
Exactly.
That's before these athletes, obviously, before they started getting paid and it was legal and all that stuff, man. So, you know, for them, like you said, for them to see guys that's on TV every day on a video and got these huge records and they're wearing their jerseys, they like, wow.
Man. That was big for us, bro.
Yeah.
For real.
Des, I gotta ask, like, who was wearing your jersey?
Oh man, you know, I think I saw a video. I know Jada Kiss has a jersey. Jada Kiss top 5 dead alive. I don't care what nobody say. You know what I mean? Come on, Raspy, give it to him, Raspy.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. It was somebody else. I think.
Hey, listen, Des.
It was a couple cats.
Hey, Des, I'm gonna help you out real quick. I mean,
go ahead.
I'm not just saying this because we on. I actually have your football jersey too.
Love it.
Closet,
oh man, see,
I act like literally, I really do, yo.
And see, and that's like a huge compliment to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, mind is blown, bro, because I grew up. This music is my soundtrack of my life. You know, that's respect, bro. That's big respect for me.
Definitely, and it's funny too, like, because even if you fast forward to now, and even going back to the connection of hip hop. I grew up in East Orange, New Jersey. Actually, all of us did, me, Vin, and Tretch. We're from East Orange, New Jersey. I lived on 18th Street. It's a friend of mine that I grew up with, lived directly across the street from me. His name is Terry Peppers. And his son, Jabril Peppers, went to Michigan.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've known Jabril Peppers from a baby.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I want to ask a question about rappers turn athletes and athletes turn rappers. Now, there's not a lot of rappers turn athletes, right? There's a couple. I mean, Master P tried his hand at basketball. He owns a league. And, you know, obviously, Lil Wayne's gotten an agency. Jay-Z's gotten an agency. But there are a lot of athletes turn rappers, right? Or have tried their hands at rapping, excuse me. I gave you my thoughts on Shaq. I thought that album was great. He was rapping with the Fushnikins, right, back then. What do you guys think, Des and Kay and Fuzz too? Are any of these athletes turned rappers legit as rappers? Obviously, they're good at sports, but as rappers, Allen Iverson, Ron Artest, now Meta World Peace, Kobe Bryant, that didn't last very long, right? But like, are any of these guys legit?
I would defer to those two because they, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, I got you.
Say, are any of these rappers good football players? Then I'll be like, okay, let me break it down for you. But I would defer to them two because they in the game. They're deep in the game. So go ahead.
Listen, Dame has bars, man.
I agree.
Dame does have bars.
Yep.
Dame can rock, man. Yeah, and I'm sure there's a couple of few that you know we don't fully know about, but Dame definitely has bars. Shaq wasn't bad, man. Honestly, he wasn't bad. Shaq and him rocking with Fushnikins and that, you know, the Shaq Fu thing, a little bit of a novelty, but still, like, Shaq wasn't bad. Like, I've actually heard Shaq rhyme and all that. And to be honest with you, you know who? And my man C Webb wasn't bad. C Webb
he did it.
I forgot about that.
He was on the album with me. He used to come in the studio with me. Like I said, I used to go and hang out with him at his house when he got drafted and all that. I helped him put a studio on his spot. So we recorded stuff. He was on our album. If you go back and check it out, there's a Chris Webber interlude on our album. And C Webb used to freestyle with us and all that, like just come off the head, just rhyming.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, man. So there's a lot of people, there's a lot of undercover athletes out there that are actually good, man. You know, it's just hard. It's almost like a child star. Like if you see a child grow up, that's why it's hard. And a lot of them like kind of rebel against it and switch it off so they can change. It's like a child star. It's like the whole Gary Coleman syndrome. You can't unsee him as, you know, that child or
right.
You know, so the athletes, it's hard to, you know, not unsee him. I mean, to unsee him from an athlete to just taking them serious and be like, oh, it's just another athlete just trying to rhyme. But if you really peel it back and really just take away the athlete side and just listen to it, you know, there's a few of them out there that can really rock.
Yeah. And I feel like with the Shaq issue, I think what got Shaq over, Shaq was a real hip hop head. Like he knew, you know what I'm saying? Like he knew a lot about the music and he knew a lot about the culture. So I think that's kind of why he kind of, I don't want to say got a pass, but I think it was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? You're in the club, you know what I mean? Like, you know,
if you look at him now, look at Shaq now.
Yeah.
Shaq's DJing and everything. Like you said, the culture is embedded in him, man. So and Shaq just like he really, really, truly loves it.
Yeah. That's fun to see.
I use the term a lot on this. I mean, you've heard it. I think the years are different, but in the episodes we've done so far, I use the term the golden age of hip hop a lot. And I use that to really mean 88 to 93, maybe 95. Because 95 came out with a lot, and we talked about that last week. I'm a huge Mobb Deep guy, and they came out in that The Infamous is one of my favorite albums ever, and that came out in 95. But 88, let's call it 88 to 93, 95. Des, that's your heyday, right? Like you're in college, you're getting in the NFL, you know, you're 96. We'll even go 96 because that was your year, right? Like that was your year in the NFL. Two questions for you, Des.
Okay.
When you were playing college pro, did you come across a lot of rappers and entertainers when you were playing? Like, were you in the same place at the same time? Like, was that part of your lifestyle at that time?
Yeah, you know, it was like I would see, especially back in the I would say the 90s, early 90s, like when Tyson was fighting, and then you'd be in Vegas at a fight, like you're gonna run into like a bunch of celebrities and a bunch of rappers, you know what I mean? And because, you know, Tyson was Tyson, and he hung around those hip hop heads too, you know what I mean? And hip hop artists. So everything gravitated towards Tyson. His camp was from the culture, so to speak. So if you're like an athlete from the culture, you came. If you were a hip hop artist from the culture, you came. So I had an opportunity. Like I still got pictures of like me and like Jay-Z and Dame Dash and like real like young Jay-Z and Jay-Z and Dame Dash were still cool, you know what I mean? So yeah, I got pictures like that. So yeah, it was something that I was around, and you know, like I say, as much respect too. It's like a lot of respect because their music is what fueled me, man. Like that, you know, before a game, you know, I got the headphones on, I'm sitting in my locker. You best believe, you know, I may be listening to, you know, Fight the Power, you know what I'm saying? Because that gets me going. And so there's so much hip hop influence in the way that motivated me to go do the things from high school to college in Michigan to the NFL. Like I remember what must have been like 96 when like Reasonable Doubt came out. And I was like, man, this guy here, this is some different shit he talking about right here. Like, but I love this, you know what I mean? And I don't think people really appreciate it. Then I went out to Oakland, right? So after my Green Bay, I went out to Oakland, and them cats out there didn't know who the hell Jay-Z was. And I remember talking to Larry Brown, who played defensive back. I'm like, man, I'll just tell you, this is that dude, man. He's like, for real, like, yeah, just listen to it. So yeah, man, it's always they've influenced me, man, throughout my whole career from high school. I'm talking about Eric B. and Rakim, because like my melody was the bomb when I was in high school. Eric B. for President was the shit. You're like, who is this dude with this slow, smooth, jazz type flow that don't break stride at all, and just, you know, it's just incredible. And then you had LL Cool J coming out with "I'm Bad," you know what I'm saying? It was just, bro, I could go on and on, man. Yeah, a huge influence on my professional career.
That's all. Des, one last question. I'm going to turn it to Jay. I'm going to flip it and go to Kay on that question. of all the songs you ever played, and I know there were different eras, right? You're in Michigan through through 91, you get drafted in 92, you're in the NFL for 11 years. If you could only pick one go-to hype song that you play before a game, what's your go-to? One song, only one song.
I got a letter from the government the other day, open and read it. It said it was suckers. They wanted me for their hobby or whatever. Picture me giving a damn. I said never.
Never.
Love it.
They never gave a damn about a brother.
Yes,
Love
sir.
it.
Yes, sir.
Come
Yes.
on. I'm ready to go now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Kay, like I know you mentioned, being around Weber and Jay Rose and the Michigan guys, but like 91, especially in that time period, right? 91, 95, 96, like throughout the 90s, really, when you guys were making a lot of music, were you around a lot of athletes? Were athletes gravitating to you guys?
Absolutely. We were at almost every All-Star game every year. We were in there, and Shaq being from the area, so we know Shaq. Like I said, I was already, hanging with C. Webb and Jay Rose and Jawan and those guys, so I knew them. I mean, we knew Charles Oakley.
Yep.
We had this stuff.
Big Oak from Cleveland, my dude.
Big Oak from Cleveland, yep. Kenny Smith. Kenny Smith's one of the homies. Yep, he's from New York, so I knew Kenny Smith. Derek Coleman. It's cool with Derek Coleman because he was in Jersey and he played for the Nets. Kenny Anderson.
Yep.
Kenny Anderson, we would hang out with all of those guys, man, all the time. And then now, then when it came, it got to being the MTV Rock and Jock. So like I said, I played ball, so I would be out playing MTV Rock and Jock. So I'll be playing, basketball with some of the guys I met and played with Mitch Richmond in one of the games. Actually, me and Mitch Richmond won co-MVPs in one of those games.
That's awesome.
Yep. I was playing, and I actually had an interview not too long ago, and it was about the Rock and Jock, and a lady asked me what was my favorite moment of it, and I was like, when we were down by I think like 2 or 3 points, and Reggie Miller was on my team, and I had made a bunch of threes in the game, and Reggie Miller was in the huddle drawing up the play, and then he looked at me and was like, "And you too, be ready." And I was like, "Wow, Reggie Miller telling me to be ready for a shot." I'm like, "Yo, this is fly."
Oh man,
that's crazy, man.
Is there any time? I'll start with Des and Kay's question for you too. Des, is there any time in your life that you've been like starstruck by an entertainer, like not an athlete, obviously, but like by an entertainer, by a rapper? Like you've met, any time in your life where you were like kind of starstruck by someone?
Man, I mean, you got so much. I tell you what, I was blown away when I met Rakim, because like I said, like at a young age, man, that was just like it. Like Rakim was my favorite rapper. And so to meet Rakim, and I'm sure Kay could tell you, first of all, he's shorter than me, so I never expected that.
Well, he looks like he's like 6, right? He's like,
right,
he's
exactly,
like
right.
Small guy,
I mean?
man. He's a small guy. Yeah.
Exactly, right. So I was like, had to get over that first, you know what I mean? I like, that's really Rakim, but yeah, I would say Rakim because, was growing up, I love Run DMC, obviously. I love, even the old heads, Grandmaster Flash, Melly Mel, and all them, I love them. But just Rakim, at that age, he was just so different and so smooth. And then what he was saying was like, man, this kid here, I just gravitated towards Rakim. So I would say when I met Rakim, and then after that, probably Jay-Z, was probably like 10 years later.
Okay, cool. Okay, same question to you. Any athletes or entertainers that you've been starstruck by?
Well, I mean, obviously we got actually pulled out like in like 90, I think around 92, somewhere around that time. OPP was out. This is from the entertainer side.
Mm-hmm.
And Heavy D was doing a video with Michael Jackson.
Wow.
And Heavy D.
Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah, and one of the guys that was with Heavy D had the Naughty by Nature jacket on. So Michael Jackson asked him, hey, wow, you know those guys? And he was like, yeah, those are my friends. And he was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I know they use my record or whatever. I want to meet them one day. And so then Heavy D was already working with us at Flavor Unit with our manager, with Shakim. So he got on the phone and Shaquem was like, "Hey man, Mike want to meet you guys. Y'all, we flying out now." And it was in Chicago, so we flew to Chicago. So obviously Michael Jackson to stand there, I'm just looking at him like, wow.
That's gotta be crazy, man.
Yeah, like and mind you, like I said,
crazy.
we just came out. So I was just looking at him like, wow. That was the Jam video. And then obviously we didn't see Jordan that day because Jordan was in that video with him, but we didn't see that day of it. Actually, we did see Bubbles though. And then the other one on the sports side is Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like I said, once again, it goes back to, to Chris Webber, hanging with C. Webb. There was a game one time they were playing Jordan and the guys, and C. Webb had us in the back, and everybody got a chance to meet Jordan. And I was just standing there, and I didn't even go over to him. I was just so starstruck. I was just standing in the back, like everybody else went. I was just standing there, like, whoa. I was like almost frozen. I was frozen. Everybody was like, "Dad, you didn't go over there and you ain't take no picture?" No, I was like, "Nah, I was almost frozen, man."
There's not much
Joe,
you can do. Yeah,
So I got.
Yeah, go ahead, Dad.
Because Little Twin, he's gonna be on me if I don't say this. I
Okay.
thought we were talking about rappers because I was at a charity function one time and I met Michael Jackson. Now my son doesn't believe I met him. He says, "Dad, you probably met his double." Michael had a lookalike going to events for him. I'm like, yeah, but anyway, and that's the ultimate because like he's the ultimate entertainer, and it's like you talking about starstruck. Nah, I was blown away meeting Michael Jackson, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which can I ask, like, which Michael Jackson did you guys meet? Like, what which level of Michael Jackson was it when you met him? Was it like Thriller Michael Jackson? Was it bad Michael Jackson? I guess it was a little later. It was probably bad Michael Jackson, right?
It had to be bad Michael Jackson. I'm thinking I'm bad with years like that, but it had to be bad Michael Jackson, I guess.
Yeah, I met him. Like I said, I met him on the set of Jam when he was doing the song.
Oh, okay. Fuzz, same question to you, because in terms of obviously you've been rapping for a long time. Like who stood out to you? Who have you been starstruck by?
Well, there's been a few, but the ultimate was James Brown. I met James Brown when I was 18 years old. And that was crazy. I was driving down the street with my homies, and I made a U-turn, and he owned a radio station in Augusta, Georgia, downtown. And he was pulling up, and it was like a 1930-something Rolls, and it was like aqua. And then he hopped out with like a matching velour jumpsuit that matched the car. and then my homie like stuck his head out the window and was like, yo, Mr. Brown, how you doing? And he was like, hey, And then we looked at each other and we was like, yo, he really talked like that, yo. Like I didn't know. I thought that, he really talked like that. But yeah, that was one. That was a really dope one. And I'm like the biggest Camp Low fan, and I got to open up for them, but I met them at the venue like way before. A lot of the artists didn't get to meet them, and I was at the bar and I was talking about hip hop, and I heard somebody say something like, "Yo, man, you right, blah blah blah." And it sounded like some 70s talk, and I turned around and it was like both of them from Camp Low, and I was like, "Wow, that's like my favorite rap group ever." You know what I'm saying? One of them. Nice. So that was a big experience too, and right now too. Because I remember me and my dad watching Get the Heisman in KG. I remember the first time I heard Naughty by Nature. I worked at Family Dollar. It was a summer job. I was spotting clothes. I was sweeping, and they was playing the radio, and I was bugging, man. So I just want to give y'all flowers right now. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it. Much
No doubt.
KJ, I'm gonna start with you on this one, and we just got a couple more questions, and then we'll let you guys get back to your families. Okay, of all the teams that you've rooted for over the year, like of all the teams that you've watched and rooted for over the years, what are 2 or 3 of your favorite teams? And what I mean by that is, like, obviously you guys know I'm a Cuse guy. Nothing will surpass 2003 Syracuse basketball for me, right? So like that's my year, that's my team. Nothing will surpass. 91 Michigan was close, Des. I'll give it to you. Like that was right. But 2003 Cuse hoops with Carmelo and Jerry and those guys. So Kay, like 2 or 3 of your favorite like teams for all time?
Obviously, Fab Five.
Yep.
Fab Five, definitely. Steelers, period. I'm still a fan. That's my team. Bottom line, period. And I gotta say, you know, because I don't have a basketball team. I follow players. So I just watch everybody, and I'm just into moments with everybody, and I'm just into players. So I watch, you know, different games and whatever, and then lineups or whatever. But I gotta say, you know, bottom line is when Jordan was playing at his height, man. So the Bulls at his height. I wasn't I'm not gonna say I wasn't a Chicago Bulls fan, but I was a Jordan fan, and I'm still a Jordan fan. Who's not? So like I said, those are my three. When Jordan was doing his thing and his three-peats and running and doing that, I was on the edge of my seat like I was a Bulls fan because I was rooting for him to do it. And like I said, that's what I do. I root for players. And Fab Five right there. And then I'm a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Perfect. And Des, to you. And meanwhile, I got my guy Isaiah on the back. Like, Isaiah's my guy. I got him like the Isaiah Jordan thing is so funny because I loved them both. Like, you know, watching them growing up, like I love those bad boys teams in the 80s, you know, the late 80s and 90s. But I love Jordan too. But Isaiah was my guy because I'm 5'7" and I'm not a great basketball player. But Isaiah told me, like, I don't have to be tall because Isaiah was listed at 6'1", but Isaiah was like 5'10". Like, he was not 6'1". And I always loved the little guys. But Des, to get to you in terms of, like, I'm gonna go the opposite for you. 3 favorite, you know, 2 to 3 or more, if you want, favorite hip hop groups, hip hop albums, wherever you want to go with this during the late 80s and early 90s or throughout the 90s.
Yeah, man. You know, I've already, I think, tagged Rakim as that.
Yeah.
My favorite, you know, and then probably close behind would be Jay-Z. Just loved his, you know, he came out there and said, before rap, I was crazy straight, partner. I'm still spending money from 88.
From 88.
Yeah, what did this dude just say? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Wait, what? I'm like, rewind that.
Yes.
I'm like, no, this dude's on another level. Y'all don't even understand it. So, I think, man, then you think group, I would probably have to say Public Enemy, man. You know, I got this joint behind me. Can you allowed to show albums on your show?
Yeah, sure. That's
okay, right.
definitely. Yeah, I'm a lawyer. We're good.
All right, I know we probably can't play any music, you know, but this joint right here, Bum Rush the Show. I don't know if you can see this. Man, like, it had me going. And one of the, you know, my Uzi Ways a Ton was a jam, but I love this song called Right Starter. It was called Right Starter.
Great song. Yep.
And in parentheses it said Message to a Black Man. And that song, bro, was one of my favorite songs. And I just always loved Chuck D and Terminator X and Flavor Flav, the way they, you know, went about their music and handled themselves. And, you know, there's always a message somewhere in the music. So, you know, they play the music, got me all hyped, but at the same time, they had songs that had like real deep messages in them too. So I would say Public Enemy.
Nice.
Okay.
And just to add on real quick about Public Enemy, man, like their stuff was like Dad said, he's spot on. Their music is incredible, man. And it's so crazy that our very first tour was with Public Enemy. They took us on tour. Our very first tour.
Wow.
So they showed us the ropes and everything.
Wow.
Chuck D and Flav, the X1Ws, the whole crew took us under their wings and said, hey guys, let us show you how to get out here and see the world, but you know, do it in the right way, man. And it was so dope, man. We appreciate that, you know, to this day. I actually seen Chuck D at De La Soul's thing the other day that they had their party and celebration for getting their stuff finally streaming, and Chuck D was there, and I had to thank him again. Whenever I see him and Flav, we thank him all the time, man. Thank you guys, man, because you guys showed us the way. And even with us being able to start doing merchandise and all of that stuff, we looked at how Public Enemy was doing that and doing their merchandise and running that business just as a whole, man. And we patterned our stuff out after them, obviously musically. And from a group aesthetic, we patterned ourselves after Run DMC. But the business side, Public Enemy on that first tour showed us a lot of ropes, man, and pulled us up, man. So I appreciate Public Enemy always.
That's all. Last question, and then we're gonna. I want you guys to hear Fuzz rap because we've been doing 4 words at the end of these episodes. Where we got a football themed 4 words. So we'll finish there. But just last question, and I'll start with Kay, and then we'll finish with Des. This podcast is about 80s, 90s. Even I guess like 2000s are old school at this point, right? So that's what this is about. Like we're not bashing on rap today. We're just talking about rap in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Okay, why do you think it was so good back then? I feel like now there's still good hip hop. There's no doubt, right?
Yeah.
You have rappers like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole and Drake. Like you have really good rappers now. But back then it felt like everything that came out was really good. Like what was it about the 80s and 90s to you that why it was so good?
I think like number one, it just wasn't oversaturated.
Yes.
Like right now, because everybody, like with technology, everybody can make music and put music out. You don't really need, there's really no gatekeepers as much. Back then, you had to be signed by a label. You had to be developed by a label. You had to be financed by a label before anybody saw you. And you had to get through the gatekeepers before anybody saw you. So by the time you came out, and even with that, they had to put you on a schedule. And if you were signed, they had to look in and say, oh, well, you can't come out this week. Agni and Rakim's come out this week. Oh, Public Enemy's coming out this week. Oh, we can't come out with you now. We got to wait until it's open. So there was a lot of that was going on. Whereas now you don't have that. And also, too, I think the difference is, and it's not to be negative about it, because like you just said, Joe, there is great rappers and still good music that's out now. Even back then, there was still some people that, got through the gatekeepers and everything wasn't great. Some of it was right. Everything wasn't great, but it was a lot of diversity going on then. There was different styles. Like you had people like Slick Rick doing different style of music. You had people like BDP doing a different style of music. You had people like Public Enemy doing a different style of music that was totally different from, Naughty by Nature, totally different from a Run DMC. You had people like a Busta Rhymes that came a little later doing something totally different. You had De La Soul doing something totally different. You had Tribe Called Quest doing something totally different. You had NWA doing something totally different. And I just think that now it sort of tends to kind of sort of sound the same. That's all. And I would like to see a little more diversity in today's music. That's all.
Des, same question to you. What was it about the 80s and 90s that was so special for you? Like that hip hop genre, that hip hop era?
Well, I think Kay just eloquently stated the fact that it's so saturated, and because anybody and everybody can just put out music now. So it's hard to even keep up with artists because everyone's putting out new music all the time. And there's just so many different voices coming out. And then to me, a lot of it starts to sound the same. And Kay also hit on the fact that you did have people that they were rapping, but it was different styles, or the context of it was completely different. Like, another group who I used to dig, especially when I was in college, was X-Clan. We had Brother J, and you know what I'm saying? You had Sugar Shaft, baby. And then like you said, then you had the Fugees, though. You got the Fugees over here. You got Mobb Deep. So he just had so many different flavors. And then, like Kay said, you had a Tribe Called Quest, and you have a Black Sheep, and so I think that now it just seems like it's oversaturated. Like I can't even. Maybe it's because I'm older. I can't distinguish between different people oftentimes because it seems like a lot of them, not all of them, because there are some talented people out there. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's some guys who I love. Like I love a J. Cole. I rock with Jermaine strong, bro. I like Jermaine. Yeah. But anyway, so I think that's the problem. Just it seems so many. Everybody can just make a song out there, and people don't care. They just put it on. They're streaming, or they put it on some sort of platform so you can hear it.
Yeah, and just to add on to the platform side of it real quick, what Des just mentioned, it's like the difference even now, and this has nothing to do with the artist, but this is the music business as a whole. Back then, you see Des got the Public Enemy album back then. You had physical copies of stuff you bought. You were invested in the artist. you're invested. Now you don't even have to, you're not really investing in an artist. You're just hearing and listening to a song or you streaming it. There's no investment in that artist.
Great point.
So
Great point.
it almost becomes microwave music. Not to say that their music is bad, but it's just the music business made it microwavable like that. And it's just that, like, man, like we would buy those albums, like when Des just picked up the album and he started reading off, you know, songs on the back, you know, album cover pictures, credits. You would look at who was mixing records, where it was done at, what it would, that, like, all of those things made you invest in an artist and made you love an artist. And now it's a little more like you just like a song and not really an artist. So the music business has totally changed.
No doubt. Absolutely. And you guys have been awesome. Awesome. And I want you guys to hear Fuzz rap, because this is like so much fun. Like, this is awesome. I throw words at him and he just raps over it. And I'm like, I gave him a really tough one the first week, and then I've like kind of calmed down since then, because I was like, I got really what's the word I gave you? I don't even remember.
I don't remember. It was.
I got really aggressive.
I got one. I have one.
All right.
One for you. Michigan, man.
Absolutely.
Michigan right there. Let's go, man. Michigan.
All right. I'm gonna change one to Michigan. So all right. Now we're going to go to 4 words with Fuzz. We're having a little technical difficulties on the music, so we're going a cappella today. And Fuzz, I'm going to throw the words at you. You tell me when you want the next one. We're going to start with KG's word, Michigan.
All right. Let's do it off of the head, baby. It's no job. Michigan fan playing like it's the Fab Five. Throw another word. We're like built to survive. And let me show you like a skater, because I'm back up on my grind. Next word.
Heisman.
Okay. Shouts out to Des. My dad now watch you win the Heisman. I'm Lawrence Taylor. The competition's Joe Theismann. I'm a wise man. I spit a verse. I eat the competition like bean curd. Somebody call a hearse.
Pigskin.
All right. Let me begin. Every time I spit, I'm gonna win. Through the pork off the plate, throw the comp like a pigskin. I'm Brady in the pocket. I'm so relaxed as Jack's up on the microphone and shake them like dice.
Pick 6. Last one.
Pick 6. All right. Not Darrell Revis, but welcome to my island, my freestyle world. I'm calling a pick 6 like Dion with the curl. It's 88. I'm running down the field. Every time I spit a verse, the competition yield. Who won it? MCs get lost day and night. I feel like Montana throwing to Jerry Rice, arms open. Guys want to get down, don't start it. But when it comes to catching these bars, I'm Steve Largent.
Awesome.
That was dope.
That is awesome.
When you said pick 6, I thought he was going to go to Charles Woodson, though. That would have really brought it home, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
That would have brought it home.
100%.
Oh, man. Oh. Well, oh, God. Well, hey, Kay and Des, thank you guys so much for joining us today. This was fantastic. This was so much fun. Fuzz and I have been doing this now for 5 or 6 episodes, and I mean, Fuzz, I love you. This was the most fun we've had, right? Like, this is definitely the most.
For sure.
This is the most. And you know, our website is hiphoprem.com. Our Twitter handle is hiphopremin. And you know, again, thank you, Desmond Howard. Thank you, KG. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.